It's the 17th of December 2016, and today's a special day. Today, 1 week early, is the huge family Christmas that I always go to, so this is all the family getting together. Next week, actual Christmas week, will be the one that me, mom, and dad do, but that's just our little intimate snack day and game night. But this week is just a huge, the big family gatherings that I always show you guys, all the food and everything like that. And this one always also includes presents, mostly my little cousin, to be honest. Us adults really don't do that much presenting anymore. That's usually left to the various branches to do on their own accord, but some stuff happens. But yeah, it's mostly the kids. Which someone wasn't able to come in this week, so they're going to try to come in next week. Point is, not as many children running around as there normally are, but at least my little cousin's going to be around, and she's going to get her stuff. Which always means I get to feel that little bit of, that used to feel all the time. Okay, let's be honest, I still feel that. It's just not about presents anymore, it's about other stuff, right? The more important stuff that's just as freaking awesome to me now, but, not as material. But yeah, in about an hour we're supposed to head up. Man, I'm hungry too. Because anytime one of these big meals is coming on, I always lay off breakfast, that way I'll have room to actually eat it properly. Eat it properly and not overeat. Kind of an important thing, after all. Not for some sort, I know people are going to look at me and go, "You're not overweight, what's wrong with you?" My problem is that if I overeat, bad things happen. Just health-wise, bad stuff occurs. Let's just say if I overeat, my body makes sure to get rid of it. Yeah. Who's the guy who just, while he was hungry, watched the Food Network Snapchat? This guy. Oh, I feel so stupid afterwards. Hungry! It's a very windy day today. And the sky, looking a bit interesting, to say the least.
Just puts her in full form.
So I'm now back from the family holiday. It was fantastic. After we ate, we played a couple of board games. My little cousin got a board game called the 5-Second Rule. 5-Second Rule Junior, anyway, so it's got cards that are a bit easier for kids around her age. That being said, being an adult did not make that game have a cheat code in it for us. So, yeah, it still was challenging enough for it to be a blast. And then we also taught some of our other family members how to play Fluxx. My little cousin snapped into it immediately, as she does with almost everything. The others had some issues, but they still understood it and enjoyed it. So, yeah, it's one of those. Now I'm taking care of other random stuff around the house. Like, for instance, something came in from the Contender people that I have been waiting for. The Tuck boxes arrived, which means that now I can take care of all those cards that don't quite fit in the deck anymore. After the expansion, which they had originally not planned to do, this is no longer big enough for all the cards that I own. Including me being able to take the politically incorrect cards now and put them in their own box. Since the cards are blue for the politically incorrect box, or cards rather, of course, I'm going to put them in the blue box. Just makes sense. And that was almost a completely perfect fit, which makes me think they might have made this specific Tuck box for that, so great minds. And then the other two will just be space for expansions as they happen, and then they'll probably allow us to get more Tuck boxes as it goes. So I put all the topic cards in the one that has the topic card logo on it, all of the politically correct ones in the blue one, and then everything else is still in the deck. And because the Tuck boxes were folded flat, I'm actually storing the other Tuck tuck box in the contender box. So, in the future, it'll be ready. Enough of that OCD organization of board games. I'm going to put the rest of them in for now, and then close up the couch. Yes, I fought through a belch through that one, but you know what? Transparency. So I'm still going to let you see it now. What do I mean by opening up the couch, by the way? I think some people haven't seen this yet. I don't know if I've shown it on Snapchat yet, but there's an interesting place that I store my board games, because I live in a camper. So there's little niches all around this place that I sort of have to take care of. It's like I have space, but I've got to be creative with it. So my board game niche is here. Yeah, that's not a couch, is it? You can see the little hole right here where I grab it and pull up the panel, and there's just a whole area under there. So see, here's my board game collection. I'm about ready to add stuff to it, but here it is. And once I put everything in there, shuts. And then I will put these two things back over there, and it will again become a sitting surface. But that requires me to put the stuff in there first. Give me a second. So, something to show you guys that I got today as part of the gifts that were given out. I'm going to try it at this very moment. Got me this. It was one of those, well, you can see what it is. I don't know why I'm explaining it. Point is, it's a big axe kit. I have never used axe my entire life, so I don't know if I'd like it or not. So, this gives me the opportunity to give it a shot. And I'll be able to find out if I smell good or not afterwards, or if it's too strong and I end up killing myself with the smell, because one of the reasons I've never really worn a fragrance, because the fragrance is in there too, by the way, one of the reasons I've never worn one, though, kind of messes with me. Because colognes and stuff, if I put them on myself, sometimes they can mess with my nose, let alone if someone else is wearing them, so we'll see how this goes. I don't think I'll try the body spray stuff until tomorrow morning. I'm not going to sleep with that stuff, because it's not designed for that, right? But the rest of the stuff, Also, before I came up here, I suppose I can tell you guys about this before I take my shower. Plus, I've closed the door, so now the dog can get to her spot on the bed. Mildly frustrating, but it was something that I had to figure out. Whenever we had cable, there was something that we didn't have. Choice, which meant that we watched a lot more shows together as a family, right? But now that we have choice, I figured out I have a problem. And that problem is that if one of us doesn't want to watch the show, none of us watch it together. Which means there are a lot of shows that in the past I would have been able to happily watch with my parents. It's just not happening now. And I'm more the type that will sit and watch something that my parents are watching. But them, on the other hand, no. And I don't mean it as a negative. It's just something that they don't want to do, which means, yeah, I'm going to have to invest in a box. I didn't think I was going to have to invest on one of those boxes, but I am. I need to invest in a box for my television up here so I can watch some stuff. The Fire TV is pretty dang epic down there, so I think that's probably what I'm going to go with. I need to look and see how much those cost. It was annoying as a realization, because I really like watching stuff with my parents. I really do. So what it used to be where I was like, oh, this is a really neat show, and they would go, yeah, sure, we'll watch it with you, has now become, nah, we're not interested. That's why I'm glad the Grand Tour has come around, is because all of us love the original Top Gear host, and quite frankly, we're loving this thing almost more than Top Gear. And once this run goes, I don't know. Don't know what we're going to watch. We got the Twilight Zone, sure, but Dad, in the middle of that process, also revealed that he wasn't, quote, that big on the Twilight Zone either. Once we finish the Twilight Zone, we've got MASH on DVD as well. So, we may be able to do that one. And there's always Star Trek. We are working our way through Star Trek. I guess it's just that I am so used to watching shows with someone. Podcast and things like that I can listen to solo. I've done it all the time and been perfectly fine. No problem with that. I guess, though, television has always been a social event for me. A social event for me that I do with my parents. So now me adjusting to this idea that television is about to suddenly become a more solo experience for some things is an adjustment I'm going to have to make. And again, I'm not disgruntled or anything, it's just an adjustment. So yeah, just venting over, I suppose, if it even was venting, because venting would, again, say that I was angry, and I'm not. I guess dawning realization over. There we go. That's what we'll call it, is a dawning realization. That there's going to be a lot of things on Netflix and stuff that I'm going to watch on my own, with nobody. And I need to get adjusted to that. Because social creature that I am, I love when things are social. And when things feel antisocial, like doing something on your own, that's when my head starts to fight it. And you know what? I don't need to let my head fight this one. I need to let it happen. Side note, it just occurred to me, I never showed you what that little game cubby looks like when it's closed. There we go. I have some containers on top of it, and Foxy is sitting there. So yeah, that's what it looks like when it's closed. Promises fulfilled. Now time for that shower. You know, I like this. The fragrance is called... Hold on, I got the box. It's called Phoenix. Here, let me read the copy on the back of this. You guys know I like copyright. Let's do this. A classic fruity fragrance featuring lavender, geranium, and citrus. Its earthly composition and subtle blend of wood and fruit refresh the senses. All of that aside, I do really like it. So, Phoenix, there may be a new thing that I smell like for a while. At least I'm going to give it a shot, because, again, I got the whole pack, so giving it a shot isn't going to cost me anything. Main concern is with all of that being that, I wonder if it's going to permeate me too much, if that makes sense. I liked that episode of Black Mirror. I kept on getting distracted by going, ooh, I know this actor from this, and I know this actor from this. The very last end scene broke my ever-loving heart, though. It's gonna be one of those shows, I suspect. Speaking of breaking my heart, I had an exchange tonight. A friend of mine and me were talking about the level of scrutiny that we give different stuff. And, like I've said publicly, I'm never the one that really highly scrutinizes something, so I will probably never understand it. They took it as a personal insult because they do highly scrutinize something and put it under a microscope, so, yeah. And I just gotta let it blow over now because it was pretty much the, oh, you're gonna say that to me, good night, and they left. I'm hoping maybe it's just, I don't know, tiredness, given what hour it is, or I don't know. I've just overanalyzed what I've said 50,000 times in my skull in the span of about 2 minutes, and yeah. I genuinely don't feel like I insulted anyone, and I'm mildly crippled if I did. That whole me being a codependent sort of person sort of leaches into a problem like this. Because people should be allowed to be insulted. People should be allowed to have those moments with people, and you're still going to be friends afterward. But the codependent in me is paralyzed and going, oh no, what have I done? It's what's going on in my head right now. And I need to make it shut up, especially considering I'm about ready to go to bed myself. Not a good way to go to sleep. But it's frickin' tearing me apart. If anyone else deals with something like this, you're not alone. Trust me on that. But annoyingly, little mental habits aside, I do have to go to bed. So, good night, everyone. Might be the most depressing good night yet, but, oh well. Good night.